Okay, we're live.
Welcome to Tech Talk Friday. I'm here with Karamjit Singh, and today we're going to go live on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on a couple other platforms. Karam, excited to have you back, and good to talk technology, right? On a Friday afternoon. How things with you, Karam?
Any day is a good day to talk technology.
All right, but today we're going to talk a little bit about some of these incubators, like Sunway has this I Labs, right? I think,
Hmm.
uh, and a couple of these, people that are thinking about incubators and so on. Talk us through some of the things that's happening in Malaysia at this point in time.
I mean, no, the incubators have been a part of the tech ecosystem for a long time, yeah. And people, I think, entrepreneurs find value in incubators if the incubator exposes them to people and to detailed processes that they are not aware of. It's very easy to say you got to come up with an MVP, but sometimes there's a way that you can do it right, and you don't know, so you got to read the book and try to figure it out, talk to someone. So these incubators are like your 3 month or 5 month MBA program, right? In how to just be a better startup entrepreneur at the end of that 90-day or 120-day period. And then you've got mentors. So the interesting thing is for the good accelerators, you got to make sure that the mentors are very engaged. Yeah. And of course, when you say how do I make sure, you speak to the past alumni, because all these are already established accelerators. Like Cyberjaya just closed their applications for their Cyberjaya Living Labs accelerator. The value of that is that you've got the entire Cyberjaya as a smart city ecosystem for you to play around with your ideas and hopefully find a company in Cyberjaya that will be your pilot or give you a prototype, right? That you can play with them. Opens doors for you. And right now we're talking about the Sunway one. Sunway is
Mm-hmm.
also trying to establish themselves as a smart city, and they've done the same thing for the accelerator. Now they're looking for, I think they're going to try to get 30 entrepreneurs they're going to select 30 entrepreneurs, and it's a 4 month program, Roshan. So 1 month, actually in that 1 month, you're auditioning to be the final 30, final 25 or 30, right? They're looking for.
Okay. Okay.
And so you got to
Okay.
really to get in is only halfway in. So after that 1 month, then they'll decide also. And the reason why Sunway is doing it is they, according to Matt, who's the chief innovation officer and in charge of iLabs,
Yep.
is that they want to focus on quality, not quantity. So once
Mm.
they figured out that these 25 are the ones that we think we can really help mold and shape further, and at the end of that next 3 month period, after the 1 month, right, another 3 month period, then they will select 5 companies to give 100,000 ringgit to. Yeah, and
Okay.
you get the money in two tranches in the beginning of the program, which means that at month two and at the end also. So the idea is that at the end, then you have a better idea of how you're going to use that money wisely. So it's kind of interesting, and you've got you've got Sunway Mall there. You've got all the many businesses in Sunway. You've got the Sunway resources itself. Like one of the past alumni entrepreneurs who was funded by them, the first batch they funded 4 startups, and they gave 50,000 only. So they doubled it, and they're going to add one more startup to give money to. And two of them actually said that the mentors that they brought were amazing and helped them, and they helped open doors for them to even get sales during the process itself. And what more do you want, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
one of them said that the access of the Sunway City's HR department also, because he wanted to validate something is testing. So why not HR professionals in a conglomerate, right? So very valuable. And then another entrepreneur said that they were able to use the MBA students from Sunway University to do research and validate some findings. So all this, where can an entrepreneur get, right? Otherwise, so it's
Yeah.
very valuable, I think. And
So
actually,
what?
Matt, go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry. What did Matt say?
No,
Go ahead.
No, because now they're calling it a super accelerator. So I said, hey, Matt, you're setting yourself up if you want to call it a super accelerator, because I haven't heard of anyone calling the accelerator a super accelerator. But then, of course, he explained that it's because they've partnered with Gobi Ventures also. And
Yeah.
Gobi Ventures has a fund called Super Seed Fund, Super Seed 2 Fund. So he said that's why we're adding the word super in front. So it's the super accelerator. So they've got a VC plugged in. And even Sunway Group also, not many people know they've got their own VC arm. It's called SunSea, SUNSEA. SEA stands for Southeast Asia. So they're looking
Okay.
for regional plays. And so
Okay.
you've got that funding after. So if you're lucky enough to get into this program and you're selected, even if you're not selected as one of the 5 at the end to get the funding, but you'll be engaging with these people. So these two VCs, Gobi and Nissan, already know who you are, right? And what you're doing. And you may not be ready at the end of the accelerator, but a year down the road, you've already got a relationship with them. You can engage them easier to say, hey, do you want to invest in me now? So I think it's a very, very interesting accelerator. And of course, the Cyberview Living Lab one is over, but now you've got this, and I think anyone who wants to take their startup to the next level should definitely apply for
Yeah.
this
So,
program.
I mean, there are all these
Mm.
startup
Yes,
incubators and so on. And we've been seeing it for the last 8-10 years, I guess, right?
yes, yes, yes.
Even from the time of Cradle and Magic, also, I
Yep.
guess, to some extent. What has been the success? I mean, I know we've
Oh,
had a
okay, yeah.
few stories, but really has I mean, we haven't quite seen that dream of seeing a Silicon Valley thing happen at Cyberjaya, or I mean, we haven't quite seen that explosion that we were hoping for, I guess, 15 years or so ago when it was first muted to do stuff like this, right? And so we see pockets of this last Sunway. I mean, there's a few guys that are doing it. I know
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Bridges is doing the virtual accelerator.
Mm.
But how
Bikesh, yeah.
because yeah. So what I mean, what should we be making out of all of this? In light of with all COVID and all the other things and all the different priorities, right? How important is these initiatives? In light of the success we've had, I guess vis-a-vis the investments that happened.
Or the lack of success. No, look, you don't, you doesn't mean that you don't try, right? And there's no explosion because you cannot compare the Silicon Valley. It is a unique, even in the
Mhm.
US, no other urban area has been able to replicate the Silicon Valley. Not even Boston, which has got the cluster
Yep.
of MIT and Harvard there at Boston University. So forget about replicating, but you can of course try to emulate and do the best you can within what you have. And so these accelerators are important, and it's if you want to talk about the kind of velocity that you have there, it's here. It depends on the individuals, right? It comes down to people who want to go out and be entrepreneurs. Say, I want to give it a try. And like Dr. Siva Palan, so you are, and Dr. Siva Palan and you are same in that sense. You talk to Dr. Siva Palan from Proficio. Every year he tells you, this is the best time ever to be an entrepreneur. You ask him again next year, this is the best time. It's like he's repeating himself. And the same with you. When you think HR departments will adopt digital, you say, yeah, it's going to happen this year. It's going to happen this year. So your confidence in this is never ending. Or someone, I may say, illusionary or not visionary but illusionary.
Yeah.
So
No,
you
I know.
haven't moved from the I to the V, but you all have that confidence. So it doesn't mean that we don't try to build the ecosystem, but we just do the best we can. And if you
Yeah.
actually want to see whether people's risk appetite has improved, so-called now with the shakeout that's going on, maybe some people will end up losing jobs. And in fact, yesterday somebody was complaining on Sunday, saying that they were offered a job in a new place. It's a listed company, but at a 40% discount to what they were earning before. So either you overpaid before, or the company thinks they want to bring you in to try something, but they're only willing to pay X amount. It's still a 5-figure salary, lah, right? So I'm saying, like, if this is your something that you want to do, then go ahead and don't worry about the money right now, lah, right? So
Okay.
it's but the
All
point
right.
is that there's opportunity. I'm going to see whether you suddenly see an explosion, or at least a lot more people coming saying, hey, everything sucks now or whatever. I want to be an entrepreneur, right? This is the time to be, lah, right?
Yeah.
So
No,
you never know.
I think based on your point, I mean that there are folks like myself and Dr. Siva Palan and others that are optimistic because there is, I mean, like the Chinese always say, lah, there's always in every crisis there's an opportunity. There's going to be one guy that wins and one guy that loses. You want to be the guy that ultimately takes the opportunity. So I do
Mm.
believe that there is an opportunity for entrepreneurs at any point in time. I think the Sunway model is interesting because actually it's one of the first times that a university is taking the lead, lah, right? Because I mean, one of the success of Silicon Valley is Stanford, right? And
Mm.
the ability to have that R&D and that tech, and maybe Sunway may not be an R&D tech sort of
No, no,
university,
no.
but maybe there's that model needs to be thought out a little bit in terms of partnership with universities, especially tech-based universities that will be able to provide the kind of interns and the kind of
Mm.
manpower to be able to do the kind of development work or the seeding
True.
work that needs to be done.
Or the
So
grunt work lah, the early days, early stage, the
yeah,
grunt
I
work.
mean,
Yeah.
you would need a cadre of people who come
Yeah.
by and say, okay, I want
True.
people can program, I want marketers, I want this, I want to do prototyping, I want to do a product
Mm.
market fit, analysis, and so on
Yeah.
and so forth. So I think that on the Sunway, I think that one is important. But I think the other piece I think that's pretty interesting is that maybe this is a game that the tailors and some of the other universities need to start thinking about lah. Because this becomes you see I think the universities always think that my job is to get them jobs, right? But if you look at
Mm.
what the market is today, right, there's not going to be too many jobs that are out there for a lot of these
Mm.
young graduates that come out there, right? And so this might be a pathway that universities need to start thinking about. Like, how can I get my graduates to actually be entrepreneurs? And maybe Malaysia is not a market. I mean, look at what's transpiring in the Malaysian economy at this point in time. Maybe we have to look at other economies, right? And how can we build our folks to be able to do that, lah, right? So
But the
I think,
universities, Roshan, have long been already promoting entrepreneurship. So that's not new. Even
but it's
as
promoting
far back as
versus
6 years ago, they were already
I
promoting
promoting it.
entrepreneurship as your own path, as your own
I
career
understand,
path.
but promoting it versus making a pathway towards achieving it, right, is two different things, right?
Mm.
So promoting it is saying, yeah, it's good, 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 but putting a pathway saying, look, I'm going to give 100,000 to five, I'm going to do this, I'm going to partner with you, I'm going to mentor you. I mean, I think we talk things like government always says, I'm going to help you, help you, help you. When the thing comes down to the crunch is, so what are the things that is happening on the ground that enables an SME to really succeed, or an SME to scale, or an SME to go out there? And it's the work that sometimes that MIDA has to do, and some of the other things. And that MDEC is a good example, right, of really partnering with some of these game companies and going out there.
Mm.
So talk is great. Yeah, we're gonna encourage you to be this and encourage you that. It's great, but encouraging is very different from the reality on the ground. I need to have money, right? Which means I need, even if I need to bootstrap, and that's why you see a lot of entrepreneurs are rich kids, right? Who have that ability to bootstrap, right? I mean, how many people from poorer income families are being entrepreneurs?
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you have a pathway, say, look, we're going to give a bit of funding. You're going to bootstrap. It's not going to be easy, but you're not going to die. You'll have some food for you, and so on. You get a rent-free place. Then it becomes a very different proposition, you see. And I think that reality is not been a reality for many of our B40 or our M40 kids, lah.
Okay, okay. That's interesting. I think you're right. When I interview entrepreneurs, I don't ask them their background, Do you come from a B40 or M40? My sense is the vast majority in Malaysia come from the
M and above.
M50 lah. Maybe our middle class, maybe 50% lah, yeah.
No,
Whereas in Indonesia is the T20, yeah, which is a bit
yep,
frustrating. But
yep.
In Malaysia, it's much more democratized, right?
It is,
So
it
it's
is,
the
but
M50.
we've seen the guys with access to funding, right? When you become like a Grab, or when you really want to do the scale up, it's the guy who has probably the connection to the T20, or in Malaysia T10, or to some extent the upper middle class, right? I mean that has the
I
ability
don't
to
I
scale.
don't agree with that. It's not the connection. Look, there's so much money out there. There's so
Agree.
many VCs out there looking for good ideas. They don't give a F about you. Oh, you're not
I
in the
I
T20.
agree. I
Sorry, I'm
agree.
not interested.
I agree.
So
But
no, no, no. There is. So don't make that another mental barrier. Oh, I'm in the M20. I got no chance. That's rubbish. You got the strength of your idea, your own passion and determination to want to make it work. Your refusal to say no. I will not give up. All these are
agree.
intangible. It doesn't belong exclusively to the T20. And the
Agree.
VCs want to see that fire, that craziness in your eye to say, hey, maybe
Yep.
I can't invest in him yet, but hey, dude, or ma'am, keep going and let's see further down the road. If something else happens, then I'll be interested. So
Yep.
totally wrong. I disagree to say that, only in the T20 do you have the foundation ready to make yourself a success. No, not at all. Don't put that into people's minds. Totally, I do not
Again,
believe that.
again, one is what is reality. So if we start really, I mean, again, there's a couple of articles actually. It's not just a Malaysia issue, lah. It's a phenomenon across the world. So if you
Hmm.
go and start to look at the startups that truly have that access to market capital and access to it, somehow ultimately backgrounds become prevalent, lah, and become a dominant factor. Now we don't like it. We can disagree with
Hmm.
it, but the reality versus what we would like. Again,
Okay.
I would be an advocate to say, we want to democratize all ideas, right? That all
Yeah, yeah,
ideas,
yeah, yeah.
regardless, we should have access to capital. But the reality is that ability to be able to connect and to get access to this group, yeah, I
Yep.
understand, but it's still an exclusive. It takes you a couple of steps to get to that point, lah. Anyway, I think it's been a very interesting dialogue and discussion. Kudos to Sunway and hopefully the others that are trying to democratize startups, to some extent,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
give
yeah,
access.
yeah, yeah. True, true,
I, I,
true.
I mean, it's, I guess, Cradle with Nazrin
New
many
CEO
years
on
ago.
board.
Yeah, with New Zealand board. I mean, the late Nazrin, our good friend, kind of paved the way where you started to see people to get, anyone, regardless of ability and class, could get access to
Hmm.
your CIP
Yeah,
150
yeah,
or your
yeah. Yes, yes,
500.
yes,
So,
yes.
so that I think helped a lot because it
Hmm.
opened up the way to say, look, it doesn't mean that I need to be of a certain class or so,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Oh, absolutely
there's
not.
still,
Yeah.
there is still education. There's still, it's that there is some layers that privilege that helps you think in a different way, that helps you act in a certain way. But that doesn't mean that you cannot get ideas to help the B40 community and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
But I think we probably have to, it's great. I mean, I'm glad to see things like this, but hopefully we'll see a lot more, and so hopefully we'll also see companies, right? With I got $1 million. How can I partner and figure out how to get a group of university students or others to be able to be startup entrepreneurs, and maybe you take some equity in it, and over time they get to rebuild your traditional organization into a modern digital organization to some extent.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
so hopefully we'll see more and more of this. Okay, Karam, your last few thoughts before we wrap up Tech Talk for this week. I mean,
I
any
think
interesting
just
in the tech
yeah, yeah,
world?
just a quick highlight when you mentioned equity. So Sunway, when they give you that money and take equity, the portion of equity will not be determined until your next round when you bring in an external investor. So for Sunway, they say because that's a fairer,
Mm,
indication of your valuation, and I think that's fantastic. They're not doing preferred shares, so
I
that's
see.
great because they want to empower the entrepreneurs, right? And then that's a beautiful thing that they've done. Hopefully, that sets the new standard for how all other accelerators out there take equity in startups. Yeah.
So it'll be
Normally
priced.
they'll give like 50,000 and take 8%, no more. Maybe the value of my 50,000 now will be determined maybe a year down the road, 18 months down the road, or 6 months down the road when you bring in the next round. So that's very important. So another thing,
Yeah.
just quickly, is that when you talk about what can government do, first of all, any government in the world, should be able to help its entrepreneurs by giving them business. The government is a big adopter of technology. And you go to DNA and read this commentary written by Faiz Al Shahib, who is one of my Gujarati 50, and he's in the e-book space in education. And he wrote a commentary lambasting the Ministry of Education because they announced their new portal strategy, right? Salama or something, and they're saying that it discriminates against local technology providers. And and people like Faiz should be recommended, for, and he's an engineer.
Mm,
His mom, I remember, his mom is a teacher, so he studied engineering overseas. He ended up staying in the UK to work as an engineer there, and then he came back to Malaysia because of parental, the mom's pressure. Finally, work, he came back, and then he stayed here, and he chose to become an entrepreneur in the e-book space. And this was like 6 years ago, where it was still a fledgling industry. But just like you, he said, no, next year is going to be the year e-books explode, and he's already out there established. But your own government now has launched a new portal because they've killed Frog, right? So
oh,
they want
yeah.
a new platform now. So
Yep.
this is their new platform, and they ignore local players also, which is very annoying. And another thing the government has done, the Penjana grant also, they have got this 70 million grant for you to go e-commerce, and I think it's called Shop Malaysia Online. And in the first batch of people they partnered with, there were very few Malaysian marketplaces. They talked about your Lazada, your
Yep.
Shopee, which were the two big foreign guys there, and then you had Fashion Valley and all that. And then the local SME players are saying, the e-commerce marketplace are saying, hey, what about us? And they say we are doing this to help these companies improve their cash flow and strengthen them. Really, Shopee is a subsidiary of a bloody listed company it's a Singapore-based, owned by a Chinese entrepreneur who relocated there, but it's listed in Nasdaq. You mean they need help from the Malaysian government? Hey, will 70 million ringgit is to partly help you also. Then you've got Lazada owned by Alibaba. Are you saying
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
need help financially from the Malaysian government?
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. And you talk about what can government do? Some simple 101 things they can do to help local ecosystem first. So
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
got PCOM pissed about them. You've got the CS Chin who's running, I think, the Malaysian Cross-Border E-Commerce Association. They're all pissed that this is ridiculous. And then they open up and say, no, we're going to engage with you also. Have them there up front, right? So this is total BS.
Right.
And
Okay.
before I leave, people have forgotten Mark Chang. When he became successful, you speak to Mark Chang, he was
Job
working
Street.
out of a basement in Job Street in Penang. I think it's in the
Yeah.
Equatorial Hotel. Yeah, that time it was very cheap. He said they couldn't give the lot out, so he took the lot. And he built his business by Intel in Penang being his customer first. Intel liked what he was doing, and they said, "Hey, can you serve us in the other countries in Asia?" And that
Yeah.
was the break he got, right? Because of a company here that when
Yeah.
they were expanding, saying, "Can you help us or not?" Now we
Yeah.
should ask the question of Maybank, of
Yeah.
CIMB, of maybe Genting Group, of definitely Asia. You all
Yeah.
are regional champions. Show us which Malaysian technology company has ridden on your coattails and today is an Asian player. The
Mm.
question is telur, nada, innet.
Yeah.
What? How do
No,
they in Tamil say
and
it?
no, but
Bullshit,
I mean,
man.
it goes back.
That's
It goes back
bullshit.
to the dialogue, lah, right? I mean,
Hey,
ultimately,
can we edit out all the bullshit thing? Although this live, I may have overrun the
we're
limit a
live.
little.
I'm so sorry, man. But
Oh man,
you know,
I got a migraine now. I got a migraine.
yeah, Karam was
Okay,
sick.
last remarks from you. I ain't saying anymore.
So with that, thanks, Karam, for this enlightening thing. But
Yeah,
I
this
think
is not PG-13. Okay, please. This PP like what? Like Netflix. Is it 18? Whatever.
no, but I think the point here is that look, I think it's not just. I mean, across the world, we always have problems with everything. I think it's good we talk about it. There's a dialogue, and it's partnering with organizations, partnering with universities, partnering with the government, partnering across the board, and people like you, right, Karam? Tech writers and tech commentaries and tech critics, right? That have a voice to kind of help us all to take our technology industry to the next level. So with that, that's Tech Talk Friday for us today, and hopefully we'll see you back again next Friday live at 1 p.m. Tech Talk Friday. Signing off for now. Here's Karamjit Singh from DNA, and I'm Roshan Thiran from Dynamics.com. All right, see you guys. Take care. Bye bye. Tech Talk Friday.